Coming to you from the mountains and the plains. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Altman.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance.
And now your hosts, Joe Altman and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire, and with me is...
Joe Altman.
The man of the day.
Yeah.
The man of the day. I'll tell you, it's always weird waking up in the morning and you're getting text messages from lawyers who are not your lawyer. But that was happening to me today. Yeah. Which is fine. I then promptly opened the document, did a Control F search for my name, saw it wasn't there, got to take a breath, and then got to working with Joe. But a very weird start to the morning. In case anyone doesn't know, Eric Coomer has obtained legal counsel and now plans, or I guess he's filed the lawsuit in a Colorado court against Joe, against FEC United, against Conservative Daily, against Donald Trump, against Rudy Giuliani, against Sidney Powell, against Newsmax, against OAN, against Michelle Malkin, and against the Metaxas show. Put up image one. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, no, they also did Shannon Ryan. They also are going after her individually. So, yes, this is what we're going to talk about today.
And James Hoff.
And James Hoff for the Gateway Pundit. Can't forget them. So this is going to be one of those days where I am going to try.
You wore a suit. Tell everyone you wore a suit today. I mean, you look kind of good there, Max.
I wore a suit because I expect that this is going to be presented in court, and I want to look my best.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wear a suit today, at the very least. So Joe,
all right,
give a description, and you've talked to your lawyers, you have your own advice. I want to just make sure you understand. Don't say anything that could possibly make this worse. We can talk about it without making it worse.
Make what worse?
I
told the truth. The truth is the great equalizer, and I want everyone to understand that. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm afraid of nothing, right? I'm certainly not afraid of Eric Coomer or Dominion voting systems. See, they have just been able to bully people across the board and say, oh, there's no proof, no proof, no proof. But they won't give anybody access to it. And the only time that people have gotten access to the system, they've come back with, you deleted all of the history files here. The tabulation system's wrong. The adjudication process allows for bulk adjudication. That's not me making that up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I believe it. So when I say don't make anything worse, just be careful. This is obviously, it's a stressful moment for all involved. There are things that you could possibly say to make it worse. Just don't say it. And there's things you can say without making it worse. So we're going to talk about this. But we're also not going to talk about certain aspects of it.
There are certain things that I'm going to stay away from, and I have purposely stayed away from a lot of those things up to this point. Purposely. I purposely stayed away from them. I have purposely not, I don't know where it is. I've purposely not said certain things and certain information that I have in anticipation of this, right? There are certain things that I know that are, sorry, trying to get the wires moved over. There are certain things that I know that I haven't stated yet. There's certain information I've been able to gain that I haven't brought up at all. And the reason why I didn't bring up any of that information is because I wanted to have the ability for them to do what they're doing now, which is lie and slander my name and defame me. See, Eric Coomer came out in his own op-ed and said that those social posts were fabricated. Yeah. He said that. I didn't say it.
And they were not.
And they were not fabricated, right? And then he didn't mention me by name, but he certainly mentioned me by name in this lawsuit.
In this lawsuit. Yeah.
And then he strushed everybody together and said, oh, the guy that's actually causing all this is Joe Altman. I want to go back, Max, and tell everyone 100% that they said, well, you don't have any proof. Yes, I do. I not only have the notes of the meeting that I had. I not only have that.
Contemporaneous notes. contemporaneous notes taken at the time.
Yeah.
So not after the fact, notes that were written down at the time or immediately after.
But but there's other things that actually came out. I mean, there's other things that actually support everything that I was able to uncover. Like I said before, I was looking for Antifa journalists. I was, right?
Yeah.
They had defamed me. They had done things to try and dox me and go after me personally, right? Because I started FEC United, because God forbid someone stand up for businesses and families inside the community. God forbid someone stand up for churches and say that they shouldn't be able to shut down churches with no science. God forbid somebody actually build an organization that stops them from doing what they're doing to our children inside the education system. God forbid anybody do that, because that's a right-wing person that wants to stop them from doing gender reassignment or gender fluidness in second grade, right? I mean, I don't know. I started an organization because my businesses and my friends were burning down around me. But God forbid anybody do that. So then Antifa came. Process, let me finish.
I want to walk you through it.
I don't need you to walk me through it. I started FEC United, right? Back in late September,
you start recognizing Antifa involvement. You start investigating them.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I was looking for Eric Coomer. I didn't even know who Eric Coomer was after I wrote down his information, even after I went and got information on him. But I had conversations with other people at that time saying, hey, you guys, you need to know about this guy. You need to know about this guy. And it turns out, I don't want to let this one out of the bag, but it turns out that there were some things that came up that were, just weird coincidences, right? I'll put it that way. And so, but then we had a meeting on October 15th. And I called out on video on that meeting. I said, look, we have infiltrated Antifa. I said it on video long before the election. I didn't know anything about the election. And I said, we have discovered Antifa journalists. Here, they're not journalists, they're Antifa. And by the way, Antifa does not mean anti-fascist. It means fascist. It means racist. It means pedophiles. That's what it means. And if I'm wrong, then why is every time they arrest someone at an Antifa deal, they're sex offenders? Tell me how that just happens to happen. That when that person in Wisconsin shot those people, that one.
Yeah, they all seem to have some kind of criminal record.
Massive criminal records. So you have a bunch of criminals going to the street to say, I want change because I don't want accountability. So anyway, I did that on the 15th. On the 16th, they posted something saying, Joe said he's going to go after journalists, which is not what I said. I said I'm going after Antifa journalists. I'm going to make sure that everyone knows who they are.
That BS journalist, right? It's fun. It's amazing how that Colorado recorder, whatever it is, how she got dragged into this.
Yeah. So
okay, keep going.
So then I went. So that happened on the 15th. I didn't know anything about Eric Coomer. I didn't even know Dominion Voting Systems was a thing. It's not like I was actually looking for him. It wasn't until literally the day that I was up elk hunting, right, that I get information. I start looking. I'm like, oh my gosh, Eric Coomer. What? And my stomach sunk. Like everyone knew that cheating occurred on election night. Funny business happened on the election night or the day after. Everyone knew. This isn't something that frankly we just woke up and said, we're just sore losers. No, math and science were just thrown out the window. I mean, it really was. We just said we have to disregard math and science. We've been disregarding math and science all year for a pandemic. Yeah.
So we're going to walk through this and we're going to explain it. We're going to talk a little bit about the lawsuit. I don't want to. There's an old saying that never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. So you don't want to really give them any ideas for ways that they can make their lawsuit better.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to teach them how to fix things.
So I've been having conversations with attorneys literally all morning. People have been calling me, giving me advice.
I have too.
Yeah. And
it's been crazy.
And yeah, I mean, am I going to have to spend an enormous amount to defend this? Yes. Do I regret it? Now, I think the question should be, do I regret it, or would I still do the same thing over again. So the answer to the question is yes, I regret it. I regret ever coming forward. I do. I have guards that have to watch my family. I mean, I sent you the threat that I got last night, saying he's going to literally break my neck, make me swim through a straw, wants me to meet him.
Yeah, drink soup through a straw.
And I'm thinking to myself, all right, oh yeah, I have no courage. Man, at this point, I would love a physical altercation at this point, just to get all the stress out, right?
Purely consensual.
But would I do it over again? Would I do it over again?
Purely consensual.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Consensual combat.
nobody has to go through this. And Eric's talking about the fact that, I have to go to a counselor and, right? You can actually see Eric Coomer in his video. You can tell he's lying. You can tell he's lying. I mean, it's not even debatable. I got a text message from someone this morning that says, Joe, send that information, send those videos over to someone that reads people. That guy is lying through his teeth, right?
That's a great call to action. Anyone who is a body language expert or knows a body language expert, shoot us an email, info@conservative-daily.com. We'll see if we can get a body language expert to weigh in on that. That's a great suggestion. Keep going.
So, I mean, the issue for me, I mean, if we're just talking about how this all developed, the other part of that is, would I do it all over again? And the answer to the question is yes, I would do it all over again. I would 100%. I would do the same thing all over again. I would not pull back and say, all right, I'm not going to come forward. And we talked about it, Max. We talked about it when I was coming forward. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. Right? I mean, yeah, we had Conservative Daily for 11 years. And yeah, Conservative Daily's been advocacy and conservative advocacy that frankly concentrates on
facts blasting Congress, pressuring Congress, all
sending
those
letters,
kinds of
doing all
issues.
those things. And we have lots of people in that deal. But for 11 years, I sat on the sidelines. I didn't want notoriety. I don't want it now. I don't want to be known. Now, frankly, I can't go anywhere without somebody walking up and saying, hey, God bless you. Which is really, I mean, that at least gives me some, that I'm not sitting on an island all by myself. But I'll say the same thing that I said way back when. If we would have lost the election, right? If we would have lost the election, let's say that the election was lost, but it was the voice of the American people. There was no funny business, no math and science that looked off, no audits that they're fighting to get access to the machines. By the way, if you don't have anything to hide, then why wouldn't you give people access to the machines? Why? Why not?
That's the crazy part of all of this. I mean, these lawsuits do open up an avenue for discovery.
I want access to every one of the systems. I want access to all the computers in every one of the jurisdictions, and then I want my team to go in there and actually go through them. It's pretty simple.
I mean that's why it's kind of shocking that this lawsuit's actually filed. Have you been served yet?
No.
So they might not serve you in person. In Colorado, they can serve you through certified mail. So that might be how they're doing it.
But they still have me sign off on certified mail.
Yeah, you still have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you haven't been served yet, because they did send over that letter to make sure that you preserve all your records.
But they did slander me and they did defame me in a lot of different ways. They said that what I said was patently false. I was on that call, right? I was on that call. And you could say, well, how do you know it was Eric Coomer? I don't know. The guy actually posted the Antifa manifesto on his Facebook page, and anti-cop and anti-American and anti-Trump rhetoric. And that's not even all the information we have. We also have posts where he goes out and just has vitriol and attacks people on other people's Facebook pages. And
that's something that we went out of our way. This is why I'm actually shocked that they mention our original podcast, which anyone listening to this, it's episode, I believe, 196, if you want to go back and listen to it. We went out of our way, at least I did, and trying to make sure that we put this out as the official position, that we didn't at that time have a good sense of whether it was actually him.
Right.
But the fact that he was on the call, an Antifa call, and then when you went on his Facebook page and there were Antifa manifestos, Antifa posts, pro-Antifa posts.
The day after it came out. Right. You have to put, come on. They're basically saying that there's no smoking gun when they took the gun apart. Right?
Well, I want to put this up. We're not going to put too much of the lawsuit up. You can find it online. It's making the rounds. Mr. Producer, put up image number 4. This was a footnote that made me laugh. And it's criticizing you for how you put 2 and 2 together. Altman provides no explanation for how he understood Dominion to mean Dominion Voting Systems, Inc., and not any of the number of other Dominion named businesses and locations in Colorado, including but not limited to Old Dominion Freight Line, Dominion Life Church, Dominion Realty Group, Dominion Water and Sanitation District, either of the 2 Dominion Towers constituting Dominion Plaza, Dominion Mortgage, and Dominion Carpet Cleaning, Inc. Well, yeah, if you're on a call with someone saying, don't worry, we've made sure that Trump won't be able to win, to paraphrase it, loosely paraphrase it, you're not going to go and start investigating Dominion Carpet Cleaning.
No. That's not true. So
illogical.
let me actually seed this for you and for them, right? That's not true. What they said is not true at all, right?
Well, I'm just saying it's funny that they can even insinuate that you should have first gone through Dominion Carpet Cleaning and Dominion Sanitation. It's just stupid. It's so dumb. Yeah, of course, if it's an election conversation, you start with the voting Dominion.
No, listen, they did a really good job. Dominion actually did a good job in one area, right? They made sure that Google, and I did take screenshots. I made sure the whole time I took screenshots, and they want me to preserve it. I'm like, thank goodness I preserved it. But the screenshots literally said, I mean, if you just go through the screenshots, it was simple. I did Eric, Dominion, Denver, Colorado. And on page 1, and I put this is actually in the affidavit that I signed. See, I signed an affidavit. I did.
Yeah.
I signed an affidavit.
Civil suit.
No, but I signed an affidavit that could have gotten me 5 years in prison if I didn't tell the truth. I went through an enormous amount of effort when people posted things that weren't true and said, hey, what are you doing? You can't put that up there. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
And I have documentation down to the day of where I made sure that I protected what the truth was. And when people posted things that weren't true, I went back. I mean, I had a conversation with Jim Hoft over at Gateway Pundit. And when I was having the conversation with him, I was like, man, you need to change this stuff. This isn't true.
Yeah.
This is not
saying
accurate.
That you had a recording, things like that.
Right. And so me and Jim walked through it, and he's like, all right, tell me what is true and isn't true. I called Sidney Powell's office. I called the attorneys. I made sure everyone that said something that was even 1 degree off, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. I made sure I preserved my notes. I made sure that as I did research, and I did an enormous amount of research on Dominion, right? First of all, I'm in tech, and most specifically, I'm in data, right? I understand code. I understand Dominion systems, and I understand the hardware and the software. I understand it. I've read every one of the manuals. I read them all, right? I spoke with the company that serviced all their tabulation machines. And I'm not going to tell you what I discovered there, but it's crazy what I discovered. I did an incredible amount of research. I reviewed the countless documents, the security protocols, and testing that was done, not just in Colorado, but done in other places like Texas, Georgia, right? I looked at the reports that actually were generated as a result of the ones we did in Colorado, which led me down the path in Colorado to say, listen, you have some massive issues in Colorado specifically related to election integrity with the Dominion voting systems deal. And look, if you go back in time, right? If you go back in time and look at the other things that Dominion has out there, all the way back to 2013, there's a Glassdoor post that on Glassdoor said that they're fooling America and that their software is not good and it's not secure. There's one that just came out on November 20th that said that they actually worked for Dominion, and in that they said, yeah, everything that they're saying is true. Now, on Glassdoor, you have to verify who you are. So you have to work for that company in order to actually put that review up, right? So this person worked for Dominion and posted that all the things you see in the system are absolutely true. That's someone that works for Dominion. Then you have the Antrim County deal. So I went through that. I went through the information on the Soros nonprofit because I couldn't believe it was true that they would share a building with a Soros nonprofit up in Toronto, right? And have Dominion voting systems there. And they want to say that it's a coincidence. So it's a coincidence that a guy that works for Dominion. Is it also a coincidence that if you, there's a program out there called Telegraph, right? Messaging app system. Mm-hmm. Is it also just a coincidence that inside of Telegraph, people were actually posting, hey, I think Eric at Dominion needs our help. I need to get a hold of him. That they were actually posting on Telegraph 3 weeks after he deleted everything from the internet? And why did Eric Coomer take everything up that had to do with Eric Coomer and wipe the entire internet? Why did he do that? Why did Dominion shut down their website? Why did they put stuff up?
Why did the state of Colorado wipe his name off of it?
Why did they also make it
gets
non-searchable for Venezuela and Smartmatic? Why did they do those things? If you're not hiding anything, then come out day one. Don't wait 7 weeks, right? Don't.
So the lawsuit that they're filing against you it's really against you. Conservative Daily is listed. Trump is listed. Giuliani
Yeah, but it's Conservative Daily through Shuffling Madness Media, which is not.
No. Don't give them any advice.
Oh, all right.
Let any mistakes stand.
All right.
Don't give them any advice. The lawsuit's really against you, claiming that there is some kind of civic conspiracy.
Yeah.
That you're working with all of these people to take him down.
Is
that true?
No. Can I explain something to you? No one has ever paid me anything. I'm out probably 40 grand in the last 7 weeks, right? I mean, I'm spending an enormous amount of money. I've never come out and asked anybody and said, hey, can you help me? People have actually called me and said, hey, can we help you? And I've never been the one to ask for help. I've never been that guy. It's been this has been very difficult because I step out. I don't get paid to do it. I don't want to be here. I keep telling people, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this position. I didn't want to know Eric. What? I don't want to know Eric. I don't want to know Eric Coomer's name. I don't want to be dealing with election fraud. I don't want to have uncovered the things that I uncovered. Nobody really wakes up every day and says, how do I get involved in drama? How do I do that? No. I want to talk about stuff related to how I help people that sit to my right and my left, my neighbors, my family, opportunity for kids getting out of college. Now the average is 11 months to get a job? Go spend $100,000 on an education. If you're lucky, it'll be that little, right? Only to get out having a huge amount of debt and no ability to get a job making more than $25,000 to 30 grand a year. Yeah,
let me take this moment because people are writing that we should start a GoFundMe page. We don't want to do that because they would take us down immediately as soon as they found out that you're not left-leaning. We do have a donation page to help us fight back against this lawsuit. I've pinned it in Facebook. It's in the description. It's bit.ly/CD-donate. It's in the ticker. The links are there. If you want to donate and help us take on this fight, that's the link to do it. Joe will be rolling out another one for his personal ones because I truly think that the Conservative Daily lawsuit is going to get tossed out. If you look at that episode we did, 196, I know people don't like when I correct you or when I interject with legal protection language, but I think I did an exceptionally good job of that episode, making sure that we put out the work product that if this is true, then yes, this would be very bad. So I think that's probably one of the reasons that they didn't come after us for actually broadcasting it. They're coming after you, and they're coming after everyone else that let you onto their show to talk about it, which it's disgustingly violative of the First Amendment. This idea that if you're doing something newsworthy, it can be tortious to have you on their show. I mean, that's insane to me. It's absolutely insane to me. And then to say that you're in some kind of criminal conspiracy, that you're huddled with Rudy Giuliani in a back room, talking about how they're gonna make Eric Coomer unhappy with his life. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So we have that donation link for everyone who wants to donate. Link in the description, link in the comments, bit.ly/CD-donate. Also, we got to plug this. It feels weird to plug it, but Mr. Producer put up the gun image. We're running a gun giveaway. We're going to draw it on Christmas. Drawing ends midnight on Christmas Eve. Make sure you enter. We're giving away a Glock 17 Gen 3, so make sure you enter before Christmas. I'll be dressed up as Santa doing that. So I want to put up something else because I was reading through this very early, and this one made me laugh. Put up image 3. This is just one paragraph from it. In reality, Dr. Coomer, like many, had a private Facebook page that he shared with approximately 300 friends. He shared political views and was critical of President Trump. He shared satire that Altman intentionally disregarded and held out as true. None of it was public. It is unclear how Altman came into possession of it. This made me laugh because we went through these posts.
And they were satire. First he said that they weren't. First he said, and by the way, and this is the part that's crazy. He went other places and put stuff out there, right? Calling people horrible names, right? Screaming at people. If you could scream on text as a keyboard warrior, he was doing that, right? This guy's not and frankly, he doesn't have 300 friends, because I've talked to some of his friends, and some of his friends, again, have said, there's what they're saying, that he's insane, that he's a sociopath.
Well, Mr. Producer, put up my screen, because we just showed that where it was satire and he disregarded it. When he published his op-ed in the Denver Post, he wrote very clearly, additionally, any posts on social media channels purporting to be from me have also been fabricated.
Right.
So for this is where we talked about that he didn't name you by name in this op-ed, which makes it very hard for you to claim that he's defaming you, right? Or libelous against you. But in this lawsuit, he is claiming a different story from this.
Right.
So he can't even get his story straight.
No, he can't get
in
his
a
story
couple
straight.
of weeks. He said that was fabricated. And now he's saying it's satire, and you just ignored it. I read all the ones you sent me. None of them really seemed like satire. And if it did seem like satire, I would have probably mentioned it. It just didn't seem like it was satirical at all.
And you could see his back and forth banter that goes back and forth with Eric Coomer and people, right?
You go ahead and take off my screen, Mr. Producer.
And the vitriol is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And by the way, there's a video that's going around of a reporter that went up 3 weeks ago, went up to Eric Coomer's house, right? Now, I've never posted Eric Coomer's address. I've never posted any information out there, but this hack guy that wrote this with a crayon published my address inside of the document.
Yeah.
That's what Antifa does. Exactly what he did inside of this deal is what Antifa does. Try to dox someone.
Explain where you can be served. Yeah.
Right. And you don't have to do it. You have that information. You typically don't put that into a brief unless you're trying to hurt someone, because then somebody actually comes to my
address.
And
they could have put your work address. They
didn't have to put any of the addresses in there, and they defamed companies by doing that because, frankly, they're not even related. They're not.
Yeah.
So look, I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to have fun with it because I want truth to prevail, and truth is the ultimate equalizer. It's the ultimate equalizer.
Yeah, it is.
I've never changed one word on what I've said. I've never embellished it. Matter of fact, I've stopped people and said, hey, listen, that's not what happened. You need to, hey. I have never let it go. I've never let even a small detail go, because to me, the truth is important. And if the truth is the truth, then the truth will remain the truth. If you ask me about it tomorrow or the next day or next week, right, I don't have to remember anything. I know what the truth is. And look, I know you're listening, Eric Coomer. I know you're listening. And the first thing that came to my mind, absolute first thing, when I got that information about, I was like, yeah, this guy, he's brilliant. He's got a PhD in nuclear physics from Cal Berkeley. Multiple patents, very, very smart. And he likes to ride bikes. I like to ride bikes, road bikes, right? And I donated a bunch of money last year to the Colorado bike so that they could actually keep bikers safe. Because we have people that worked for us, one of which whose dad was killed riding a road bike by a distracted driver who was playing on her phone.
Other than this, you'd probably maybe not be friends, but you'd be acquaintances. You have enough common interests that outside of this, it's not like you're gunning for him. You hate him personally.
No.
No. This was something I found humorous. We don't have to put it up, but there's a sentence that says, at no point has Altman contacted Dr. Coomer to confirm his involvement in this purported call. Multiple times on this podcast, you have invited him to come on. You have invited him to reach out to us.
And they know about it.
We know that they're obviously have been watching it because they're citing it in the briefs.
Right.
It just, there's...
But
I see what they're trying to do here.
The thing that pisses me off, is that the mainstream media did not pick it up at all. Did not pick it up. Nobody went and talked to Eric Coomer from the FBI.
Until he filed the lawsuit.
No, then they came and talked to me. But they came and talked to me before they came and talked to him. Right? And he wants to say that he should be upset that I say that Eric Coomer and Dominion Voting Systems, that we're coming for you. We need to hold you accountable. Accountability doesn't
Yeah.
exist in our government anymore. And a system that you say is absolutely safe, fair and free election. How? You tell me how a system that can be manipulated through the adjudication process, how it could be safe when you have to actually put in a device into it and then the chain of custody can get lost. Tell me how that's safe. Tell me how that's a secure election. Tell me how.
Yeah.
When you can completely delete the adjudication process logs. Tell me how that. Look, I have a financial system inside of our companies. You can't delete anything. You can't delete anything. We did it for a purpose so that we could actually make sure that we could hold people accountable and that no fraud or embezzlement can happen within the company. Right? Why don't you have that inside the voting machines? Why? You say that it's free and fair, and you constantly talk about CISA and Chris Krebs. Chris is an attorney. He doesn't not a code writer. He's an attorney. He was with the Department of Homeland Security. Then he worked on the CISA deal. He doesn't know code. You have thousands of coders that have come together that are actually talking about the holes in the Dominion system. You have security experts and cybersecurity experts, one of which that testified, Dr. Smith, at Colorado's hearing, who said, listen, this is not secure. When you do a Red Hat investigation or security protocol investigation, like they did in Texas, right? Like they did in Texas, then the publication is not 1 page long. It's not 2 paragraphs. It's pages long because you're going through all of the vulnerabilities that happen within that system. But that's not what was put forward. They want you to believe that everything is safe and secure, hunky-dory, it's not plugged into the internet. I have pictures of systems in Colorado that are plugged into the internet, that are actually plugged into a system.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I want to put this up because I just remember this one. Mr. Producer, put up my screen. The lawsuit claims that Dr. Coomer is neither a public official nor a public figure. He is a private individual. The defendants, by their own conduct and for their own ends, targeted and elevated into the public sphere. I'll have to go back and watch, but I know that we read legal briefs from this year and from years ago that focus on Dr. Eric Coomer. Here's one of them from Georgia, Curling v. Raffensperger. And we actually read the legal briefs. So when you present yourself as an expert in a court case, in a legal case, you're not like a movie star. But to say that you can then just retreat and no one's allowed to criticize you and no one's allowed to dig into your expertise and to figure out what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? If he truly was a private individual that had no intention of ever receiving public scrutiny, he would have turned down the opportunity to sign on as an expert witness in these cases.
This is why the attorney that actually is representing him needs to go back to law school, right? And I'm going to tell you why, because frankly, he also is cited in multiple articles across the nation as the spokesperson for Dominion voting systems. In articles, in publications. He's the one coming forward. So tell me how you're not public.
We were just talking about a case from a week or so ago, and you can take this down, Mr. Producer. We were talking about a case from a week or so ago where the Georgia Secretary of State was using his previous affidavit, sworn statements under oath, to defend how they handled the election. Like, he's the guy. We played videos. Like, this is where it really gets me, right? When we're talking about Dominion's adjudication system, which, as we've presented with the forensic audit from Antrim, Michigan, and anyone who got fact-checked for that fact-check should be getting lifted today. We added a tiny little disclaimer because I received some messages from people saying that they were blacklisted or put in Facebook jail because they shared the podcast. So we added a tiny little edit to the description of our December 14th video saying that the Secretary of State disputes it. So that fact check should be listed. But when we talk about the adjudication process of Dominion's voting machines, on our podcast, we also played a video of Eric Coomer going through the process. I believe it was in Chicago, and explaining to Chicago election officials how they can go in and change votes. So
Did you know?
It's just insane.
And the problem is that by putting this stuff out there, they're doing damage to me. Right? He put this stuff out there and said that I lied. So now I can go after him for slander, and I won't go after him in a state court. That won't happen. I won't go. I'll go after them fully. They think they're going to threaten me, and somewhere along the line, I'm going to back down. I don't want to be.
Newsbacks back down.
No, they just have lawyers that don't understand. Yeah.
Everyone, make sure you hit that share button. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you comment on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Give us a thumbs up. Very important. This is an important day in the history of the Conservative Daily Podcast, and we need your help spreading this far and wide. Anyone just coming in now, Joe is expecting any minute now or in the next couple of days to be served with papers formally being sued by Eric Coomer for the comments that he has made about Eric Coomer, specifically related to his involvement with Dominion voting systems. People still asking, why am I in a suit and tie? I'm in a suit and tie because I fully expect this video will be presented in a court somewhere, and I want to look my best. And whoever in the comment section said, make sure I take this suit and tie off before I see my wife, unless I want a third kid. Very funny. If you see me holding back a laugh, it's not because I'm laughing at what Joe's saying. I'm laughing at some of the comments. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Listen, people go, Joe, how are you holding up through this? I mean, I've gotten an immense amount of support, and I've been talking to attorneys all over the country, and people. I mean, I've talked to people on the Trump campaign. I've talked to people that are just reaching out to offer support. The amount of support that I've been getting is pretty dramatic. But Max, why don't you put up the Orrin Olson, the first Coomer?
Oh, which one's that?
The ones that I sent you this morning.
Oh, a long time ago. I don't. This morning I have to edit that name.
No, you don't.
We can't share that name.
Yes, you can. Yeah. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's not a real name. I actually know. It's
not a real name?
No, it's not a real name. It's not his real name.
Okay, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. How did you send them over to me? Do you text them to me?
I texted them over to you this morning.
Okay, yeah, so I got to email them. So let me email them to myself.
So I got to tell you, they're not that bright. So obviously, look, I'm involved in lots of different businesses, and one of which is tech. And so this person decided to send me a really nice nastygram, and I can actually read it to you while I'm here. See if I can get it here.
I got to email it to myself. I thought it went through. It didn't.
Basically
telling you, that's the guy telling you you're going to eat through a straw, right?
Oh, yeah, it gets worse. So I'll just read it. So he goes under the thing, Orrin Olson. I just learned, it said Coomer. I just learned of your existence today after hearing a news story regarding Eric Coomer. As a white male, As I am a white male, real Republican, and not a white trash banana Republican as yourself, I've determined it's appropriate that you will be spending the remainder of your day in a nursing home drinking soup through a straw after learning your role in Eric's current situation. Prepare yourself. Bad word. Be seeing you soon. And so then I responded.
Very bad word.
Then I responded, you want my address? I'll wait here for you. And he responded, yes. And I was like, better yet. And he gave me an address to go to. Just you and me.
We're not going to share that.
If you can muster up the courage, let me know. And I said, courage, laughy emoji. You say when. My address is public record. He said, mine as well, yet courage. You talk tough, but guessing you cannot back it up. Hey, we'll find out, I guess. You and me out of police jurisdiction. I don't actually know if there is an out of police jurisdiction.
There's not. I mean, you could go to, I think it's Seattle, Washington, that has mutual combat. Yeah. No, they have the Chaz, but I think they also have what's called mutual combat, where anytime two people willingly want to fight each other, they can do it, and the police aren't allowed to intervene. But I think once it gets to the ground, then they have to stop. I remember doing a deep dive on that one time on the mutual combat laws. I think it's in either Washington State or Oregon. So then here's another one. You didn't send me all of them, but put up my screen again, Mr. Producer. So then you say, okay, let's meet. Can you read that?
Yeah. So, okay, let's meet. I mean, since I have no courage, let's just get this thing going. I said, that was easy. And then we could probably take that part out. Yeah, I'm up for a meeting now for sure. He replies, where and when? I guess if you need this, Jesse, bring him along. He is Jesse. You will need to read this, then we meet, right? So I put up a deal that was a URL, and this moron actually clicked on it. Another option, you could invite me to one of your victims whining support groups. Yeah, because people in the community that are actually suffering, we're now victims whining support group. This is what they think, people.
Yeah.
I guess you call it a political event.
Yeah. So you're getting death threats. So I love how they're like, oh, well, you're hurting Eric Coomer's feelings. And that other people are threatening. What I really was furious about in the lawsuit, Joe, was how they try and conflate things you've said and things other people have said. Right. And to try and make the case that you deliberately compelled people to say certain things. And this is the part where I'll remind everyone who's watching on Facebook and YouTube, these comment sections could very well be entered into evidence. Yeah. So don't say anything in these comment sections that could possibly be used to make a case that Joe is trying to ruin these people's lives, right? Just be cognizant of that. But I was shocked at how there was one part where they literally said they said someone on Reddit. Let me pull it up. Here we go. Put up my screen, Mr. Producer. Section D, the harm defendants caused Dr. Coomer. And then it says social media exploded with threats and attacks as the lies spread. For example, on November 21st, 2020, anonymous Reddit user Fur001 posted an article to the subreddit r/Donald Trump titled "Eric Coomer needs to be arrested before he tries to run or fly away." I mean, they're taking anonymous Reddit posts and trying to make the case that you caused harm to Eric Coomer because some anonymous person on Reddit posted a meme. Right. And we actually have that meme. Go ahead, put up my screen again. This is the meme that they're saying that they're saying Joe caused. And then they actually included the responses. Effing maggot. Most wanted to live, testify. They're actually taking the responses to the anonymous Reddit post and trying to link that to you. I mean, this is all over the place, folks. If you want to actually prove someone caused you harm,
because they don't want accountability. And by the way, he didn't go into hiding, right? When the journalist around that same time, and I'll actually have to find out around that same time, or actually after that, it was after that he was at his house. He wasn't hiding. He was destroyed. They destroyed evidence. He got rid of everything that was online that had Eric Coomer anything. He asked people inside of journalism environments to take things down. Some of those articles got taken down, right? They did. And yet we sit here and we want to have a conversation about the fact that, oh, poor me. I can't believe you would say those things about me. He said those things. I didn't say them. He didn't. He did. Right? And listen, I don't write stuff on my social media that frankly, that I wouldn't be able to defend. I don't. And I've said some things that I get fired up. I get fired up over the fact that we're a country that's being swallowed up by this globalism, that they want us to basically be the slaves for everybody else. I have not been shy to what I believe. And he thinks that it's okay. We should actually do that. We should be swallowed up by globalism. Let's go have an office space with George Soros so we can stay close. Let's have people in our organization serve on boards within this George Soros organization or groups of organizations. And by him putting out that post, by him putting out that what do you call it? And by me getting the threats that I'm getting, then they can say, oh, we didn't actually call. Someone else must have done harm to Joe. I've already seen this happen before overseas. It's just this thing that they try to do where some harm comes to me, right? And they can say, we had nothing to do with it. You published my addresses inside of a brief, and you didn't need to do it. You just did it that way because you wanted to actually cause harm. And you lied. Eric Coomer lied. You lied in that. You lied in the op-ed. You lied in that. I don't know. You pick where you stand on the thing. I've been consistent.
So we do have someone on YouTube who has offered their backyard for your mutual combat. He says it's legal in their state.
Okay.
So
yeah,
this is our comment section, folks. We put out a donation link, and people are saying, "Hey, it's legal for you guys to fight in my backyard. Want to come do it?"
I love people. I love people that talk trash. Right.
I love it.
I love people that talk trash. I love not him, but this guy that Orrin Olson. I love people that talk trash. Do you know why I love people that talk trash?
Why?
Because they think that they're so tough. They talk about it, which means they're not going to be about it. I mean, but some of the stuff that was written was it's insane. I'm going to break your C5 so that your lips will still be able to move. I mean, it's demonic. I mean, it's evil.
Yeah.
We're dealing with evil people. I don't know what to say.
And that guy's saying that he's a Republican. He's a Republican.
Yeah. He's not a Republican. He's not. And actually, I sent over the information to the FBI yesterday. I did. And I told them have a nice day.
They won't investigate that.
I think they will.
They won't investigate
given
that.
all the other stuff that's happened in the last couple of days that I cannot go into here, I would think that they will. They are going to investigate it. And I made it really easy for them. I got their IP address, got all their information, device ID. Even if there's a device away, I've cross-correlated it because they've used it to actually look at social media and stuff. So we had a record of it within the system. I mean, it's crazy. I already know who they are. That's why I said his name's not Orrin Olson. I know what his name is. I know what his name is.
More people are offering their backyards, whether it's legal or not in their state.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about this because this is something that got me as I'm reading through it. And again, anyone who wants to read through the whole lawsuit, it's out there. You can find it. This is what really got me. Let's put up, where is it? Image 2. So the way that they linked you to Conservative Daily is saying that you are a representative of Conservative Daily. Your actions relevant to this case were as a representative of Conservative Daily, and within the scope and furtherance of his work for Conservative Daily, he had an actual and apparent authority as an agent of Conservative Daily. Conservative Daily is liable for Altman's tortious conduct described herein. I never talked to you about your Antifa investigations, and I run Conservative Daily.
Right.
I didn't know about this until you brought it to the podcast. You were doing this through your work with FEC United and your personal
I did this work.
work.
Yeah, my personal advocacy work. Right? And they brought in FEC United too. And FEC United wasn't involved in any of it, which is fine. I mean, it just makes it really easy for us to come together collectively and go after Eric Coomer and the sloppy attorneys.
Just imagine, though, if, like, anytime you wanted to sue someone, you also sue every company that they are connected with. I mean, this is where it seems really sloppy. It seems really sloppy. If you want to come after us for how we presented our arguments, do it. I think we did a fair job. I think that we covered our behinds enough. I think that we left room for people to interpret it themselves. I think that we had very fair coverage of all of this. But if you're just going to come after Conservative Daily because Joe's involved with Conservative Daily, and clearly he must have been doing this under the Conservative Daily banner, the investigations, right, the interviews. I mean, some of the interviews you didn't do under Conservative Daily, you just did on your own. It really struck me how weak the link is between you and the podcast when you think that that's what they would go with. But the more I read it, the more I think back to these episodes. I don't think that they could actually bring a defamation case against us for our podcast episodes about Dominion because we use primary sources. We used the actual pictures from his social media page. We used his depositions that were filed in Georgia. We used his op-ed against him, right? We used all of it. We used the video of him teaching Chicago election officials how to change votes on Dominion machines, right? You brought in his work in other countries. Right, we brought in their foreign language reporting that had to get translated so everyone could see what it meant in English. You brought pictures of him meeting with foreign officials trying to seal the deal right before elections that were disputed. Right, so I don't think they can actually come after the podcast or the organization for the coverage, which is what are they doing here? This is a terrible lawsuit. I get if they don't have a case against you because you have the receipts. You made sure to document everything. But the case against the other organizations for the so-called conspiracy is even weaker.
Right.
We don't all huddle in a room and figure out how we're going to make Eric Coomer cry today. It just doesn't happen. We follow the news. We follow the current events. We put pieces together. We do investigative journalism. And yes, sometimes we can be wrong about things. That's entirely possible. Right? But to say that we're defamatory, to say that we're deliberately lying to cause someone pain and suffering, it's just insane to me. Like, we're better than that. We're far better than that. And that's like when he accused us of fabricating all of his social media posts. We're better than that. Like, I don't have that kind of time. You, Joe, you don't have that kind of time. You sent me like 90 screenshots of his social media. They all didn't make it to air. You don't have the time to fabricate all of that. I mean, I guess you could, but you're too busy just to spend days at a time fabricating Facebook posts. He's not important enough to do that.
No. And frankly,
so that's just what gets me.
And frankly, if we weren't talking about the voice of the American people, right? If we just lost the election, then we lost the election, right? Again, I voted for I voted for Obama the first time. I wanted change, and people say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that." Okay, well, me and about 50% of the Republicans across the nation voted for Obama. Sorry, it happened, right? We wanted change. Then when we got that change, the second time we're like, yeah, I don't think I want that change. That's not the change I signed up for. And frankly, I was disenfranchised with what had happened, because of what happened in 2007 into 2008. The financial deal actually affected me. I had people that I got defrauded in that entire deal, right? And it caused me a lot of turmoil. I wanted change, right? Fast forward, we're talking about the Trump being elected. Yeah, I voted for him. Yeah, he's the guy that I choose. But that's not what this is about. This is about free and fair elections. This is about the fact that if we let people actually influence those elections, we will find ourselves in a place where we're no longer a constitutional republic. We will be a communist nation. We won't be a socialist nation. We'll be a communist nation. We'll have the appearance of freedom. We'll have the appearance of opportunity with no opportunity to see. And you could say, Joe, tell me how that's possible. Well, where's the accountability in our government now? Where? Like, I've seen some of the stuff that was on Hunter Biden's laptop. Any other person on the face of the planet that had the type of stuff that was on that laptop would 100% be going to jail, period. Would not pass go directly to jail.
There's stuff so gross that even if you weren't the one performing the acts, simply having them on your hard drive would be a felony. I mean, gross stuff of Hunter Biden in the same room on a bed with a young girl or with a girl on a bed behind him. Really gross stuff that anyone in possession of that, I mean, you're not allowed to have that in your possession whether or not you're in it or not. There's just always these double standards. Always the double standards. And yeah, the fact checkers love to say, oh, we have proven this false. The fact checkers call us liars all the time, and they don't actually prove anything, right? I mean, we talk that, yeah, we want to sue them. That's probably going to have to take a back seat now that we have this legal fight. But it just seems so one-sided with this. That, yeah, there are some lawsuits that come up every now and then against the fact checkers, against the media. I mean, the Lynn Wood example, we got to get in contact with Lynn Wood and see if he'll represent us here. I'd love to have him represent us on this because it fits in nicely with what they're doing. But you don't see Republicans doing this, like just going after a podcast because they don't like that they mention their name, right? Or going after someone because you don't like that he went on OAN and Newsmax and Michelle Malkin's podcast. I mean, they literally went down the line of all the different places that you had media appearances, guest spots, or just interview spots, and they're suing them.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that. Imagine if you just said, well, CNN gave you 30 seconds of airtime, so therefore we're suing CNN.
This is actually witness intimidation is all this is, right? And it can actually be considered a crime. What they're doing is witness intimidation because I signed an affidavit. And I'm in the middle of lawsuits right now. Like my affidavit is in the middle of lawsuits across the nation. So what they're actually doing right now is intimidating me. What they're trying to do right now is silence me. They're trying to dox me. And by the time I'm done, that law firm that actually posted that stuff in the brief, I'm going to go after them. I'm going to go after all of them, right? And I shouldn't even have to do that. It should be, okay, let's just shake this all out. Let's shake it out, find out what truth is, and then we'll let that prevail. But the second that the election was over, they said there's no proof, no proof, no proof. 2 days later, no proof, no proof, no proof. That just shows you what we're dealing with in our country. I mean, frankly, I didn't get involved in this because I wanted to be involved in it. I don't want to be involved in it. I frankly don't want anything to do with it. I mean, if we're being honest, I don't want it. I want zero parts to do with it. I don't. But I have an obligation to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Well, any final words as we wrap this up? We're going to probably have to talk about this a little bit more. I don't think we said anything that could make it worse. I was worried that we could have said anything today that would make it worse. I don't think we did. No. I don't think we gave them any pieces that can make their case better, which is the other thing you want to avoid doing when you talk about cases like this. I think that we didn't say the things that, and you mentioned that you have more And that's what you always do when you have investigative reporting. You don't report everything. You leave a little bit back just to give them a little bit extra rope to hang themselves with. So as we've kind of hinted at with the podcast for a while, you have other things that you haven't brought to the front yet.
A ton of things.
And
they're poking the bear. They're poking the bear.
Yeah.
And frankly, I know that Eric Coomer has reached out to friends of his and said, "Hey, are you talking to Joe?" Right? Because they're like, "Joe, you can't mention my name," and I'm like, "I'm not mentioning your name." Right? So I know loose lips sink ships until they don't. And I go, "Look, I'm going to tell you right now. All I care about is truth. That's it." Everybody's like, "Oh, you don't, that you want to attack Dominion. You don't want Biden to be president." Of course I don't. Yeah, neither the 75 million real people that actually voted for President Trump, right? And you could say, well, the country's divided. Yeah, it is divided. The haves and the I don't want you to have anything, right? That's and I don't know how much clearer it gets when you actually are trying to pass laws to defund the police when violent crime is skyrocketing in those areas, and you're not going scratching your head going, yeah, maybe that was a bad idea. Maybe it was. No, you're still doubling down on the fact that you want to strip people of the ability to be safe in their own communities. And you want to get mad at me because I want to stand up for small to medium businesses, people that pour everything that they have into their environment. And you want to get mad at me for standing up. You want to get mad at me and say that, oh, it's some sort of pity party we get together at some political event because we want to whine. Really? I want to whine? That is that is the epitome of someone that works for the government, that doesn't care about the people, that wants to enslave the people we're talking to. So you can say whatever you want, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to stop talking. I'm not going to stop fighting. I don't know why. I don't want to, frankly. I wanted to figure out that, hey, on January 6th, we're going to be fine. And that all of these lawsuits and legislative offices and investigations are going to bear the right fruit and say, listen, there's no question there was an immense amount of fraud here. 721% of the people could not have voted in that area. It's not possible, right? See, they got greedy and they got sloppy and they got caught, right? And then the fact checkers come out and want to cover it up for everyone and bury people's head in the sand. I'm not willing to bury my head in the sand. And for those of you, by the way, that think that somewhere along the line, I just got another happy message from someone that thinks that I care what people say to me. I don't care. I'm not doing this because I want notoriety. I'm not doing this because I want to be in the middle of this. I'm doing it because I'm an American. And it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to actually stand up and say, hey, listen, look at this. What do you guys think? And then all the corroborating evidence that's come across the bow since then it's terrible stuff. It would convict anyone in a court of law for a crime. And yet they want to tell me that there's no proof. There's massive amounts of proof.
Well, I think what we're going to find from this, and I hope that this doesn't go to trial.
I hope it does, because then when discovery was going to be
discovery will be very fun.
Yeah.
Discovery would be very fun.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't go to trial, because this is it's a bogus lawsuit. I mean, the more you read it, the more you see it's stretching. But we're going to continue to cover this. We're going to continue to talk about this, because this obviously is not going away. And we'll let everyone know when and if Joe does finally get served. We'll let you know that. I have to imagine that it's harder to serve people in person with COVID-19. But I do know that people who serve the service, they tend to be creative people. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. If you haven't already noticed, we have a ticker at the bottom of the screen. If you want to donate and help us fight back against this, the link is bit.ly/CD-donate. Link in the description, link in the comments. Go ahead and donate that. Joe's going to be coming out with a personal, because they are suing him personally, and they're suing Conservative Daily. So he's going to be coming out with a personal one too. We'll be promoting that as well. If you have the ability to, please do donate to that and help us fight back against this, because obviously he has lawyers in his camp willing to put whatever they want into paper to get this thing going. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. If you like the podcast, make sure that you subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean. Very good idea. Really do it. Subscribe to the audio version. Even if you watch us Monday through Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube, it's a very good idea to subscribe to the audio version, so that if you can't watch us one day, you can listen as you go about your daily schedule. So make sure you check that out. There's also a link in the description to join our email newsletter. Also, if you text the word freedom to 89517, you'll get text alerts. Very important. That's how we're getting around Facebook's throttling. We are on Parler. Follow us at
No,
Conservative
we're still
Daily.
being throttled like crazy.
We still are. But that's
Yeah.
how we get around Facebook blocking us from putting out notifications. And then last but not least, Mr. Producer, put up the gun image again. We are giving away a Glock 17 on Christmas Day, $650 value. Make sure you check out the link in the description or the link that came through in the text alert to enter. Make sure you enter before Christmas, and we'll be doing that drawing Christmas Day. So I think I hit up everything. That's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. My name is Max McGuire.
And this is Joe Oltman.
And remember that the fight to take back this country clearly isn't over, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together.